Hi everyone, how are you doing? It's Chris the Alfa Nut here. Sorry, I've been a bit ill for the last few weeks, so apologies for you having to wait for the latest video to come out. Unfortunately, viruses aren't very interested in video scheduling. So, the weather outside has turned cold and frosty and Christmas is fast approaching. And while I was tucked up in bed feeling a bit sorry for myself, I started to wonder what Santa would do if all his reindeer got the flu as well. Well, it seems obvious that he'd have to find a new form of transport in a hurry. Something red, fast and gorgeous, but also practical and roomy enough to fit plenty of toys into. Something cool and stylish that handles well, and oh yeah, how about a Q2 differential for those difficult snowy conditions? No Santa, that's not really what I had in mind. No. Too German. Now that is a bit more like it. In fact, the answer to all Santa's prayers might actually cost rather less than he thought. This is the Alfa Romeo Brera S. The S stands for Special, and only 500 examples of this Brera were produced for the UK market. Do you like it, Santa? This version of the Brera got some careful attention from ProDrive, the rally specialists, with a view to making the S a little more suited to British roads, and to make the driving experience more rewarding than the standard Brera, which was considered a bit soft by many UK drivers. The list of changes included special 8C style 19-inch alloy wheels, which saved a whopping 8 kilos off the unsprung weight. Now, anyone who's fitted bigger wheels than standard to their car and then been gutted because the car feels slower and heavier than before will appreciate what a difference the weight of a car's wheels can make to the way it handles and accelerates. Did you bring your checkbook, Santa? So this 2.2 litre 4-cylinder S puts out 182 bhp and weighs 35 kilos less than a standard car. Featuring Bilstein dampers with lower springs to give a dramatically improved driving experience, the body control is much more taut, cornering is flatter, and the steering feel is better than the standard car, which unusually for an Alfa was criticised quite widely as being a bit numb. The usual arguments apply to the V6 engine version, which has more power and sounds nicer, but the increased weight in the nose produces more understeer compared to the nicely balanced 2.2 litre version. Since there were only ever 250 examples made of each version anyway, finding one for sale may take some digging. A lot has been said about how pretty the Brera is, and I have to agree. I think it's one of the most successful coupe designs ever, and it really hasn't dated at all in over a decade. With the right wheels and a good polish, it still looks the absolute business. Of course, being a coupe, the rear passenger space is a bit compromised, but the boot space is good enough to make the Brera a practical daily car. I also suspect that the Kim Kardashian proportioned rear end is partly responsible for some of the Brera's visual charms. Santa soon started to attract lots of unwanted attention. So it was time to go. Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas! Ho ho ho! Okay, that's enough now, I'm going to the pub. This particular Brera belongs to David Tilley, one of our local Alfa Club members, and a big thanks must go to David for kindly allowing me to drive his pride and joy. I asked David to take me for a spin and explain why he wanted a Brera. What is it that made you want to buy a Brera in particular?
I had always absolutely loved the style. So I opted for other models of Alfa that were more affordable, and circumstances finally arose that I was able to afford one, and in checking what different variations of the Brera were available, the ProDrive version seemed to be the obvious choice, because I particularly enjoy driving in a spirited way.
Yeah. He said flooring the accelerator.
Not quite flooring.
And is
I'm a responsible driver as well, I hasten to add.
Of course. Is this car a keeper for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unless I have an unfortunate intervention by another vehicle, I shall fully expect this to be the last car that I own.
Excellent. Now it was my turn to drive, so I decided to find some slightly bigger roads whose names didn't sound like cutlery being thrown down the stairs. So here it is, Merry Christmas. Yeah, so people are looking at me in the traffic queues. I'm trying not to be embarrassed. I'm trying not to react. It's fine. Yeah. It's just Santa commuting, doing his shopping, whatever. Ooh, Santa going through an orange light. Yeah. It's fine, it's fine. Everyone loves Santa. I'm imagining that people are going to let me in, let me out of junctions, and, you know, just generally be really nice to me. Or they might just look at me and snort like that guy in the van. What is that idiot wearing? So, 2008 Alfa Romeo Brera S. Now the S stands for Special, and were 500S Breras produced. This is one of only 250 2.2 litre 4-cylinder engine versions. There is a V6 version which is a 3.2 litre. People say that the 2.2 litre 4-cylinder is more of a driver's car because it doesn't weigh as much. Obviously the V6 is a big old heavy lump in the nose of the car, and it produces more understeer, and it spoils the delicate handling balance and the composure of the 2.2 litre car. So it's said. I haven't driven a 3.2 litre V6 one, so I can't vouch for the difference, but having owned a few Busso engine cars, I can say that, yeah, V6 engines are quite heavy. I'm gonna have to put the I wasn't expecting it to be sunny today, okay? Didn't bring any sunglasses. You know, the weather has been horrible yet again, all the way up to me getting in here. And now suddenly, check it out. Blue sky, unseasonal sunshine. It's halfway through December, for goodness sake. So, first of all, I need to say that I've never driven a Brera before. This is my first drive of a Brera, and I'm happy that it was the S version, because, well, obviously the S version is really the one that everybody says is the best to drive. This version belongs to a member of the local Alfa Romeo Owners Club. Is a very generous Mr. Tilley, David Tilley to be precise, and David's very generously let me drive his Brera. Anyway, so we're going to take David's Brera for a little spin. The roads have dried out quite nicely. We've had a horrendous amount of rain over the last few days. We'll see how she feels. So first impressions are that the car is quite firm. ProDrive worked on the suspension to kind of make it more UK friendly, because when the Brera was first released, the standard version was considered a little bit soft by the UK market. That was the feedback that they got. Alfa Romeo quite fairly claimed that the Brera was not really designed to be an out-and-out sports car, it was more of a GT car. So therefore the suspension was comfortable rather than sporting, and fair enough. However, obviously people in the UK like their sports cars, and apparently we buy more convertibles than any other country in Europe, which is surprising considering our weather. But anyway, ProDrive, the rally specialists who've been very successful with Subaru, tweaking, amongst other marques, were approached to make a few little changes and to breathe on the Brera and make it a little bit more sporting, improve the handling and give it a bit of edge, which they did very successfully, I think. First impressions of this car are pretty good. Basically they fitted Bilstein dampers and lowered Ibark springs, and some of the geometry was changed to sharpen up the steering, which was criticised for being a little bit well, a bit devoid of feel, I think, a little bit numb, and the straight ahead position some people said was a bit woolly. This feels pretty good to me. It's not communicating every little bump, but to be honest, that's fine. David uses this car as a daily driver, and I'm sure if it felt like a Caterham and you could feel every cat's whisker that he ran over, it would soon be getting on your nerves as a daily driver. So this is probably a good compromise. Slightly more comfortable steering. The seats are certainly very comfortable. It'd be nice to be able to see something. Right, I'm going to dive off the motorway here. Ooh, knock my camera over. I do a bit of back roads. Yeah. Can afford Plymouth. Well, the car feels great on twisty roads. David took me for a spin, and the car really does handle very well. Road holding is good. With some decent tyres on, it's pretty sticky. It feels pretty neutral. It's front wheel drive, but with a Q2 differential. And I think when it feels this good, you don't need four-wheel drive. And in all honesty, four-wheel drive adds a lot of weight. The front-wheel drive, woo, the front-wheel drive is more than adequate in a car like this. Slingshots you out of corners nicely. There's no scrabbling for grip. And that's on a wet winter road as well, so yeah. What does it sound like going under bridges though? Let's have a listen. Pretty good. Pretty good. Like it. Brakes seem pretty competent as well. Looking at them from outside the car, they do look pretty big. Pickup, you know, it's a 2.2 litre 4-cylinder engine, and this car is about 1,500 kilos, maybe a bit less, because the S version of this car weighs 35 kilos less than the standard one. So maybe about 1,450, something like that, which, you know, that's not a lightweight car, but it certainly doesn't feel like a porky as you're throwing it around the bends. So, what's my verdict? Well, my verdict is that I'd always kind of dismissed Breras because the road tests that I'd read complained that they were soft and they were a bit podgy and overweight and that they felt heavy and that they weren't really a sporting Alfa Romeo. I kind of dismissed the Brera, even though I thought they looked absolutely fantastic, and I still do. In fairness, even though the Brera is now pretty much a 15-year-old design, I don't think it's aged at all. If anything, I think I've grown to like the shape even more. And I have to say, in my opinion, it's got to be one of the most successful coupe designs ever. It's December and it's sunny. What can I say other than thank you? I'll take that. So thanks very much for watching, everybody. It's been great to have you along for the ride this year. Make sure you catch up with me next year for some more exciting Alfa Nut stuff. And for now, I'll just say, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.